everybody, it's Christine Barger, and today I'm going to talk to you about how to create the personality for your puppet friend. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button for more puppets and fun random content. I do create videos with my puppet friends. I'm a professional ventriloquist. Every Friday we go somewhere on some sort of adventure, and every Tuesday my character Ava uses her friend Sock, who's a sock puppet, to do toy unboxings. It's kind of a parody, not so much a parody, more of just like a character doing toy unboxings. But check that out as well. And then on Wednesdays, I have how-to videos, and this is one of the how-to videos. So I just did a video on how to find puppets online, to choose your puppet, and what do you want to think about when you're picking your puppet friend or your event figure. But a lot of people then ask me, well, how do you come up with a personality for them? So everybody's process for creating their imaginary friends are a little different. When you become a ventriloquist or a puppeteer, you want to make sure that you're thinking about these characters as kind of your friends. Not everybody thinks that way, but I find that to be the most beneficial way. If you're thinking about them as your friends, then they're more real to the people watching when you perform. At least that's how I feel about it. So you're coming up with a personality for a friend. Now, maybe it's a frenemy. Depends on what your act is like. So if you've first chosen your puppet, then you want to create the personality around the puppet that you've chosen. If you haven't chosen a puppet or a figure yet, you can create the personality first and then find a puppet or have one made to match what it is that you've created. Either way is a legitimate way to do it. It's up to you what works best, or I guess what your budget is. It might depend on your budget. If you need to shop for a puppet first, find one within your budget, and then create the character. What I like to do is I generally have the puppet first, or the character first. The figure first, and then I come up with a character. So I will sit and I will look at the character and I will think about what might that puppet sound like? What is their backstory? It's basically the same thing I do when I create a character as an actor for a film for myself. So you're pretty much just playing another role. So you're just acting opposite yourself with a puppet on your hand. So you want to make sure you build a full story for them in their life. So figure out how old you want them to be. And you can just write a sheet out, like a character sheet. Just literally write it down or put it in your phone, on the computer, whatever. I like to handwrite things, but I'm old school like that. So you can write out okay, so this is their age. This is where they're from. Then maybe where they went to school, or where they work, or where they used to work. Are they retired? Are they still in school? Are they not in school yet? You want to really think about these different personality traits that you want to give them. Are they sassy? Are they bossy? Are they shy? Why are they that way? What caused them to be shy? So Stunkles, for those of you who know my characters, Stunkles is a skunk who's he's very outgoing once he gets to know you. But he's really shy at first because he's a skunk and he gets judged for being a skunk. So he doesn't really want to be judged, and he doesn't stink. He's been descented, so he doesn't stink, but people don't know that when they meet him, and he gets very worried that people won't like him. People will judge him and think that he's stinky and won't want to be his friend. So he's insecure about that. So there's this whole story behind why he acts the way he acts. And then once he gets to know you, he runs up to you, he's just really excited and he wants to talk about pizza all the time. So, give your character a thing that they really love or they really hate, that they have a very strong opinion about, basically. Something that really makes them angry. If you look at other ventriloquists and think about their figures, you've got Jeff Dunham or Darcy Lynn or Terry Fader. Think about what their characters have strong opinions about. Walter has very strong opinions about his wife and marriage. You could just think about that. There's things that the characters it's what makes them who they are. it's the same way with people. Like, you could also base your character on someone you know or someone you've met or a version of that person. So think about people that you know in your life. The things that they will, like the stories they tell over and over, like their essence, what it is, quirks about the way they speak or the way they move or different stuff like that. And you can put that into your character to the best of your ability. I mean, sometimes you don't have a whole lot of movement in a puppet if you don't have arm rods on it or anything. But, you know, there's like little quirks. If you can give them some sort of phrase, once you've worked with them for a while, that also helps make them stand out. But back to the beginning of when you've got the character. So you've got the character, you've written down all of the things like the who, what, where, right? Maybe you don't have a name for them yet. That's okay. Usually the name is the last thing for me. I don't always know what I'm going to call them, and then I'll kind of play with names and like change it a few times, and eventually I'll settle on a name. Same thing with a voice. I'll sometimes start with one voice, and then like after a week I'll be like, no, this isn't working. Like, and I'll make some changes and stuff. Billy's voice actually changed after, I think, like 3 years. Just all of a sudden it morphed into something else. Like, he hit puberty, I guess. I don't know. It was weird. Like, he had a certain voice, and then I was like, that sounds too much like Darlene, because Darlene's voice changed as I aged. She aged, and so her voice changed a little bit. And because I had her when I was a kid, so as her voice changed and Billy's, they got very close. And so to differentiate them, I just changed Billy's voice like pretty drastically. And nobody really seemed to notice. So I noticed, but anyway, unless you're like super famous, I don't know if anybody would actually notice or say anything if they did. So the voices, think about where they're from and how they talk. Don't just make up an accent or a speech impediment or something just because you think that's the character. I mean, if the character would have that, yes, but don't just like, okay. So in improv, we always used to say, an accent does not a character make. So just because you give them a Southern accent doesn't mean that's a personality and a character. That's just an accent. A lot of people will just take an accent and then put a stereotype with it and call it a character. And no, don't do that. Don't be that person. Just please don't be that person. What else? So where they're from, backstory, voice. Oh, to actually come up with the voice itself, you want to play with your own voice. Clearly, you don't want them to sound too much like you, because if they sound too much like you, then people won't be able to tell you apart on stage. If they like close their eyes, they'll be like, who's talking? Don't do that. You want them to have their own unique voice. You can play with your voice, pitch and tone and all of the things, just like you would mimic someone, like trying to do an impression. That's the same way you change your voice. So you can make it higher or lower, like you could talk lower. A lot of times if you talk lower, you might talk slower. You don't have to, but you could. Like if a character's older, they'll often also talk slower. If they're younger, they talk faster. Like, think about things like that and really build that character around their backstory and who you think that they are, rather than just go, I've got a puppet, it's got an accent, therefore it acts like people from that place, and that's it. I'm gonna name it George, and then you're off. Like, you can do that, but I don't recommend it. It won't be a fully fledged, fully fleshed out character the way that you'd really want it to be to have a long lasting career with that character. So yeah, I hope that helps. I feel like I'm kind of rambling at this point and I just want to wrap it up. But if you have more questions, I'm happy to make a part 2 to this to clarify some stuff. So go ahead and write in the comment section below. Let me know if you have any other questions, or you're like, wait, can you clarify this or whatever? And we can either talk about it on one of the live streams, or I can go ahead and do another video about how to build your character if you'd like that as well. Please, again, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and like this video. Find me on Instagram, social medias, all the things down in the description, and go be a light in the world. Thanks for watching.